Thank you, everybody. I have 10 minutes and I'm determined to march through this. I actually wrote this speech on my flight from Australia last night, and I realised halfway through the day that I might as well just tear it up because everything that came before me is about statistics. So I thought I'd give it a shot and really take you back to where this started. In the mid-90s, I worked in RFID, so radio frequency identification at the silicon level. So I guess I'm a bit of a nerd. And over the better part of the last 25 years, I've been caught up in emerging technology, fascinated by it, in fact. And so in April of 2015, when a backpack took me to London, I decided that I would use the very best of emerging technologies to make a difference, not only in my world, but to the world as a whole. So Everledger began. It started in the heart of London, and it was fascinated by what was happening in decentralised control. In 2008, we saw the global financial crisis turn the world on its axis. And of course, there wasn't a country, a person, or a corporation in the world that wasn't affected by this. And as a part of that, an innovation occurred, which was Bitcoin. Satoshi Nakamoto decided he could invent something around the transfer of value using cryptocurrencies. And it would have been easy for me to be able to recognise a future possible using cryptocurrencies and become a multi-billionaire overnight. But instead, I decided if I was to spend the next 10 years of my life doing something that I actually needed and wanted to do, how would that be applied? So I decided to apply this to supply chains. Using the very best of emerging technologies, I took the technology platform and of course focused it on one of the largest opaque supply chains in the world, the diamond industry. So this is what we did. We decided we'd try and look at supply chains from the point of the object. What if we could take a diamond and uniquely identify it? What if we could track it from the source of the mine to the market and bring accountability to that supply chain across the globe? And so I embarked upon this journey in April 2015, and this is what we did. We created relationships with the major certificate houses around the globe in America, India, Israel, and Antwerp, where they grade and certify each of the diamonds. Now, not only do we capture the 4 Cs of the diamond, but we took 40 metadata points of that diamond. A thumbprint, a digital thumbprint of that stone we can now track around the globe. Not only do we capture each of the dimensions of the stone, but also a serialization on the girdle and the crown. We now know where diamonds are being sold online in marketplaces such as Amazon and eBay, work with insurance companies on fraudulent claims, with banks around transparency so they can finance the diamond pipeline, with Interpol and Europol on diamonds that cross borders and enter into black markets. And suffice to say, we're 2 years and 2 months old. We've given it a good nudge. We have about 1.8 million diamonds in Everledger, and we're on our way. We then became intrigued about what other supply chains can use our technology. So then we decided what's also important. Trafficking of ivory tusks is another important part of the world, preserving Mother Earth's assets. So what I thought I'd do today is give you a bit of background. Firstly, I'm a proud Australian, and secondly, I'm even more proud to be a part of the diamond industry. In the year 2000, the United Nations came together and created the Kimberley process. It's a 3-step validation system that embarked upon bringing transparency to the diamond industry. And we did pretty well. 81 countries came together through 54 offices around the world, NGOs, corporations, and we meet annually, time after time. And tirelessly, we go through our supply chain and we ensure that the stones are not contracted from conflict zones. But I guess there's an oversight. When you look at the definition that our industry put together in the year 2003, probably after the tail end of Leonardo DiCaprio and his Blood Diamond movie, it's fair to say we probably missed something quite large in this declaration statement. I'm guessing everyone knows what that is. So what did we do? We decided we'd take the very best of emerging technologies, blockchain, which everyone is talking about today, machine vision, sensorial data, and bring this to supply chains. We're a small company. We're only 32 staff. We started 2 years ago. And of course, we're tirelessly working towards global supply chains. Now, for those that don't understand, blockchain at its very core It is one of the most important technical innovations of our time. But beyond a single point of technology, we know that exponential technologies are coming together. We've seen this in the transference of now what is automotive cars hitting the road, or autonomous motor vehicles. And if you were to bring together each of these layers of technology, we can indeed make a difference to supply chains. In March of this year, we decided we'd not only take the work that we've tirelessly put into the diamond supply chain, we would add on top of that the NLP platform. Partnering with IBM, of course, with IBM Watson and not limited to their technology, we were able to do something quite transformative. And this is what we showed the world. We were able to ingest a series of documents that, of course, regulators on a weekly and monthly basis around the world are bringing out to the supply chains. And what a complicated world this is across multi-nations in the world. We were able to ingest these documents, and of course, this is the Kimberley process. It was driven by the United Nations. There's 73 legal obligations along the supply chain that needs to be interpreted, not only in English, but of course in all those other languages around the world. We're able to take all of this information and bring it into the supply chain platform, map the obligations, not only the competent authority, but as far down as which of each of these countries are able to import and export those stones. The output of this has been one of the first in the world to bring not only a cognitive platform together with blockchain, but apply it completely across a global supply chain, being the diamond industry. As we bring the obligations together through the mapping process, we're able to then also seamlessly bring together the new forms of technology with blockchain, define rules on the supply chain, and bring that into a system, a global orchestration, a business network that harmonises the supply chain. And of course, this is open source, so it's not limited to just companies like us to enable this to happen. It is purely a focus and a vision and a room full of nerds to enable this to become a reality. As we began to bring this through the system, of course, we've executed on a cognitive bot. We have 1.2 million diamonds in March. We ran permitted access across 857,000 of those. And across the compliance tracking platform, we were able to find 113,000 non-compliant stones that had either breached regulations by country, by company. So we were able to drill down. Now, of course, we've obfuscated the country, because those countries I have to fly to, and I don't like being stopped at the border. But the reality is that this tooling is at a mature level that it is able to be ingested within systems. We think that this is one of the most important parts of technology providers in the world today. And as I said, we're a little company. So what we did is we knocked on the door of some of the biggest companies in the world, and we said to IBM, it's about time, why don't you step up? SAP Ariba, who have 2.8 million customers around the world, and fair to say, they provide the largest procurement platform the world has seen. And they chose to work with Everledger to bring not only their procurement platform and marry that together with provenance. And once you bring that together, then you do have transparency. Now, proudly, we're here to make a difference. In the heart of Hong Kong, we have Chow Tai Fook. They're one of the greatest jewellers the world has ever seen, let alone sitting here in Asia. And proudly, only this month, they announced a huge transformative step for our industry. That is to take the industry from what we once knew was the 4 Cs, the colour and the clarity and the carat weight, and move it to the 4 Ts. Transparency, let me read this. They've done it really well. The 4 Cs, traceability, transparency, truthfulness, and thoughtfulness. To bring these 4 Ts together across the supply chain will bring a new global standard. To enable this with technology is something that has to happen. We've seen technology giants before us today. There was Steve Jobs, who gave us this. There was Mark Zuckerberg, who did the internet.org. I'm here today to bring global supply chains into a transparent future with the help of Thomson Reuters, with Google, with IBM, with SAP Ariba, and anyone else that has a keyboard. It's about time.